Welcome to the latest episode of the High Ground Podcast. It is February, which is Black History Month here in the United States. So I wanted to do a panel with, a bunch of my beautiful fellow brown nerds. So we're gonna have a great time and just hang out right here on the High Ground. Hello, everyone, and welcome. Thank you guys for joining me.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
I'm excited because I did this last year, and I was like, I need to talk to all of a bunch of people before again. I haven't had a chance to have two of you on here before. Three when the other person joins. So I'm super excited to actually get to spend some time and hang out with you guys. Let's start. We're going to go around the room and I'm going to ask the questions. Who are you? Where can we find your amazing content? And who is your first Star Wars crush?
Nice.
All right. And you know what? We actually do have last person joining. Hello.
Hello.
Awesome.
Hello.
Thank you so much for joining. We're about to just go around and give our introductions. So I'm asking everyone, who are you? Where can we find your awesome content? And who was your first Star Wars crush? And I'm going to start with Snovia first.
Awesome. So I'm Zenobia. Most of my stuff's on TikTok at Flannel. I mostly focus on Star Wars and Mandalorians, and outside of nerd stuff, I also write. So I have a short story out. Well, it's a flash fiction piece out right now in Chaotic Merge magazine, issue 3. So check it out. It's called Fixations.
Oh. Awesome.
Nice.
My first Star Wars crush. I started watching Star Wars as a child, so I did not have any feelings towards anyone. But I watched The Force Awakens on my 15th birthday, and I was like, wow, Poe Dameron is the man I want to marry.
Respect. Respect. And how about you, DePaul?
So my name is DePaul, or go by Jedi Master DePaul. You can find my content of Star Wars on TikTok under Jedi Master DePaul. Also, I do a podcast with X-Core Gamer Skills on YouTube called The Conspiracy Cantina. We are right now on a hiatus because X-Core has a new job, so we're just trying to figure out a good time to get that going back up again. But yeah, so that's where you can find my stuff. I'm also about to I have started a channel on Twitch of her gaming, but haven't really dived into that much. But yeah, that's where I'm at with my content. And as for your question, who's my first Star Wars crush? First Star Wars crush. Okay, so I was raised on the original trilogy, so mine is going to be Hutt Slayer Leia.
The original trilogy doesn't give us a lot of options.
You know what? I'm trying to keep it PG because there is one scene in Return of the Jedi, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Listen, I knew you were thinking Ula from the moment I saw you.
Oh God.
That's okay. That's okay. Real quick, I just wanted to do a shout out for Jordy Jedi. We've got Connor in the chat here. He's been a member of the channel for 2 months, so congratulations. Thank you. And how about you, Onyx?
All right, so I just like I'm Onyx Artist 32. I do a lot of my content here on TikTok. I also am a writer. I do writing on a webcomic called Zadora Chronicles. You can find it on Webtoons, and you can buy physical copies at mbeyond.com. And I've been doing that for the better part of a decade. I'm pretty old. Let me see. My first Star Wars crush. Honestly, I didn't really have a Star Wars crush up until I saw Rebels, and then there was this episode of when Hera met her father and her accent came out, and I was like, I'm smitten. I was like, I'm gonna marry that woman one of these days. That was it.
Awesome. I love it. We got Darthman in the chat says has and always has been Ventress. All right. Respectable. And how about you, Nidra?
Hi, my name is Nidra. I'm Nidra Loves Cosplay on everything except Twitter. On Twitter, I'm Nidra Loves Jedi because of the character limit. And my first Star Wars crush, shamefully, no shame. We don't do shame in this house. It was Anakin Skywalker, and I'm gonna say it with my whole chest.
Okay. Awesome. Hey, understandable. There's I've seen a lot of thirsty Anakin talk. All right, we'll just leave it at that. And I apologize if for anyone in chat if this is seeming laggy. My speech should be more than good enough. So I'm not sure what's going on. Anyways, it'll probably improve as the podcast keeps going. Oh, well, we got some Dark Side Divas. No shame. Anakin was cute for a reason. Yep, absolutely. Saint Pat in the chat saying, I gotta say, Padme in her pilot outfit at the beginning of Attack of the Clones. For me, I'm actually with DePaul. It's well, DePaul's real answer. It's Ula, the Twilight Dancer. In Return of the Jedi. Yeah, that a young Chaco was confused, but in a good way. Well, awesome. All right, so today the panel is, it's Black History Month. I brought on all these beautiful brown people, and we're gonna jump into that and what it means to us and how we feel about it. First question, lightning round. This can go in Star Wars or outside of Star Wars, but who's your favorite black or black coded character in fiction, just in general? All right, so we can go a lot of places with this, but I'm going to start with DePaul.
See, actually, I had a difficult time thinking about this one because favorite is that's like number one. See, most people will go with some ball to go for Mace, but actually, no. My favorite will be Billy D. Good old Lando.
Yep, great choice. Very smooth. He encouraged me to try Colt 45 malt liquor for the first time. How about you, Onyx?
I'm not. You might have to come back to me because for the longest time I couldn't think of anybody. I really don't have anyone that was my favorite. Well, my favorite black character, and
it could be outside of Star Wars,
Okay.
Or just black coded. So for me to give you guys a little bit more time, I'm going to say this person was just black coded, at least to me. But Martian Manhunter from DC.
That's a good one.
Watching the Justice League Unlimited, I was like, that's my dude. That's who I want to be, and I just felt it. How about you, Nidra?
I'm gonna say Dion from Clueless. Oh. I think it was like one of the first representations of like a hyper feminine, like I guess sort of like what I wanted to be at the time. Because when I was a kid, I was like a tomboy, and when I saw her, I was just like, oh, neat. You can like be cute and interesting. And also, I learned a few things about myself through that character, and my attraction to her. I was like, oh wait, like this isn't like I want to be besties with her. I want to be her or be with her. And my phone's ringing. Oh my god. And so ultimately, literally everything starts ringing once my phone starts ringing. But yeah, no, ultimately she was just amazing, and she sort of like gave me, I guess, representation for what a hyperfeminine character could be, while also still being, I guess, not a caricature of that.
Yeah.
Sorry
Very,
about what
very
happened
much so.
to Stacey Dash, but
Yeah, it's Stacey Dash back then. Not
Yeah.
maybe not right now.
yeah,
That's
not present.
how about you, Sonovia?
I kept bouncing back and forth between Huey Freeman and Piccolo from Dragon Ball.
That's what's up.
Like, do I pick the 8-year-old boy or the alien dad? I don't know.
Can't go wrong with alien dad.
Those are
Yeah.
good picks right there. Yeah.
Piccolo is the only father Gohan ever knew.
Right.
Exactly. No, this is real bad at this point.
Oh man.
How about you, Onyx? Anything pop up?
I think now that I thought about it, I have to say Static Shock.
Okay.
Nice.
Like, I remember watching that, like, that was during the time of, like, the Justice League Unlimited and Batman animated series and Superman. But I remember, like, being glued to the screen when I first saw Static, because I was like, oh, like, he looks like me. And then I just kind of went down that rabbit hole. And that was my moment. He was one of my favorite characters growing up.
Yeah. That show
You
was
know
just
what?
solid.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that, Onyx, because you just triggered something in my head. Damn it, Justice League Unlimited, the Green Lantern,
Oh, John
Stewart.
right?
John Stewart.
That's a good one.
Because I remember when that first came out, I was like, wait, that was the first time I saw superhero representation, really. When as a
Right.
kid, I'm like, because that came out before Static Shock, so I'm like, wow, a black superhero, Green Lantern's not black. When did this happen? And that just took me,
Right.
and I ran with. That was one of my favorite series. So thank you for that.
No problem, man.
Absolutely awesome. Yeah, and we got a lot of love in the chat as well. Static Shock, best DC ever did. And B Dazzler got Brooke in the chat, also a huge fan. Connor in the chat saying Monica Rambeau, super excited to see more of her in the MCU going forward. And yeah, so it's a good time. It's not we are we're going to be getting better and getting more and more stuff, but yeah, no, I love seeing the progress as we keep going. So yeah, jumping straight to the Star Wars side of things. What brought you guys into the fandom? Like, all of us, create Star Wars content. We talk about it a lot. We all have different obsessions. For me, it's just going hyper into lore, and also a little Anakin slander on the side every now and then. Just joking. Love the character. But yeah, what kind of draws you guys in? And also, feel free to I call out someone on to begin with, but feel free to jump out and stuff if you are feeling the spirit. How would you, DePaul? How'd you get into Star Wars?
I think I told you the story before, but I love sharing this story because it touches me so many ways. So how I got into Star Wars is luckily I had a mother who was a nerd, and I didn't realize it was a nerd until I was an adult. But my first experience and how I got into Star Wars was one, Wicket, the Ewok. Yes, yeah, Ewoks was what got me like hooked on Star Wars, because when I was a kid, Care Bears were big back then. This is in the 80s, and so when I saw the first movie I saw was Return of the Jedi, and I saw those, I'm like, that's a Care Bear. That's a live action Care Bear. What, like, as a kid, so I'm like, okay, cool. I realized that wasn't a live action Care Bear, but what really hooked me was my birthday. I think it was my third birthday, my mom said, and it's a core memory because she had Chewbacca. It was Chewbacca, big old walking carpet dude, come to my birthday because it's Star Wars themed birthday, and I remember that specifically. He was just towering over. He had big old gun. Wasn't a bowcaster, but it was a gun, one of the guns that the stormtroopers have, and that just stuck in my head, like that whole thing. And I was like, I love Star Wars. Like between Wicked and the Ewoks and Return of the Jedi and all that stuff and the Force, it took me on a whole whirlwind of going to it and learning about it and just enjoying it. And also, finding you guys on TikTok, realizing that there's such thing as a lore master, and that just really got me because I love the lore of Star Wars.
Absolutely. Also, so your story also makes me want to not fully announce it because I don't know how difficult it is going to be to come into fruition. But I recently have the template to print out the underlying shell of what will become Black Chrysanthemum's for a cosplay. So we'll see. It's gonna be tough. This person does a whole explanation on how to build all this stuff. But for some of them, I'm gonna have to go off the rails. So we'll see. We'll see if I can pull it off.
What are you trying to do?
Oh boy.
How about you, Onyx? What got you here?
What got me into Star Wars? I was while DePaul was talking, I was trying to go through my memory banks because Star Wars has been in my life for so long. I'm like, how did I end up this deep into the fandom? Because I remember being a wee little kid, and my mom, she, like him, my mom was a big nerd, but she was more of a Trekkie. So, but I was drawn to Star Wars, the action, the X-Wings. I remember my dad getting me my first X-Wing, and you used to press on R2's head, and it used to open up the X-Wing, and you could press the little buttons to make it make the sounds. So I had that thing well into my 20s, and the batteries from the same day that we had put it in. So like that was my favorite toy of all time. So I've been in the fandom for as long as I can remember. And obviously as I got older, like things expanded. I remember when I started really experiencing the expanded universe, my first expanded universe game was Jedi Knight, Jedi Outcast. And then I found out there's more types of Jedi and there's all this other stuff. And then it was a rabbit hole from there. I've just been in love with the series ever since.
Absolutely. Love it. How about you, Nisha?
So I was connected to the wrong mic this whole time. I'm a mess, but I'm good now. I'm better. Initially, I went my entire youth without getting into Star Wars. And then I started dating a guy who was really into it. And I was like, I'm going to do the fake fan thing. And I did the fake fan thing for a minute. I was like, I love Star Wars. But I didn't really. I was just like, this is cool or whatever. I was really like casual about it. And then cut to about 3 years ago, I meet my current partner at a bar reading a Star Wars novel in a bar. And I was like,
them already.
All right. I was like, okay, this is pretty cool. And next thing I know, during the pandemic, I look up at the TV, I see Clone Wars, and I'm like, that little girl looks like me. And I was like, who is that? And it turns out it's like Anakin Skywalker's Padawan. And I was like, wait, he had a Padawan? He did this? And so then I got sucked into Clone Wars, and then it pulled me directly. I mean, God tier hyperfixation mode engage. Like I watched everything, consumed everything, became completely immersed in everything, and then eventually I started cosplaying Ahsoka. But ultimately, it was just seeing her and seeing someone who looked like me. That kind of was like, oh wait, there's me in this universe, like to some extent. And then I realized, no, God, okay, I'm obsessed. Because like I fully understand now how people fill in the gaps for Star Wars overall. And I never got that before. I always thought that was weird, and now I'm part of the problem.
Awesome. It's not a problem. It's a blessing, you know. When I first stumbled upon your content, someone's like, have you seen this person? Like, who? It's like, it's literally Ahsoka. I'm like, really? And then I looked it up and was like, oh yeah. Yeah, that's Ahsoka for sure. Awesome. How about you, Zenobia?
How did I get sucked into all this? Oh my goodness. I think it started with my dad. This is gonna show you that I'm all very, very young, but my dad was super into Biggie. Like, obsessive almost, and there was so many Star Wars references in it, and I'm sitting here like, why is my dad just talking about Obi-Wan Kenobi? Who is that? Who's that man? So I ended up like watching Clone Wars as a kid and being like, this kind of tells me who Obi-Wan is, but I need to know more. And I just kind of got pulled into it. It was like, this is my life now. I have to. It started with Obi-Wan Kenobi, like most things do. So
Awesome. What made you the expert, the Mandalorian expert, or is it just season 2 and 3 of Clone Wars?
I think I did a project. It was like part of my senior project for my sociology minor, and you had to like make up your own class, and I decided I'm gonna do the like sociology of Mandalorians. I love them. They're super cool, and I did an entire like layout and like lesson plans for teaching college students about Mandalorians. And then I made a TikTok about it.
That's the coolest class ever.
That's awesome.
Right.
Oh man, that's cool. Wish I could have been a part of that. Element 7, all roads always lead to Quinlan Voss. If you just say Quinlan Voss to him, it'll answer like half the questions that he's thinking at any given moment. Just okay. So, all of us have, I'm sure, experienced some interesting things here in the community. So I sent out kind of a list of things I've experienced. Just curious to see if you guys have had similar experiences or if you wanted to share them. So there's a few of these, and we can all just kind of talk about it just openly. But so I asked which of these apply to you when you have white friends that say you're only technically black because of being nerdy, or when no one in your family or friend group share these interests, or when you have to code switch depending on where you are or what you're doing, or accused of acting white, or having to prove yourself in the fandom. Any of those jump out at you guys? And I'll have this open.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Oh yeah. I'll start. I was called white girl by my family because I didn't have rhythm as a kid. I got Oreo a lot, and then I kind of was like into the punk metal scene, and they were like the kings and queens of, oh, but you're not like them, or you're so different, like like, oh, you're just like a white girl dipped in chocolate, like, and also pretty for a black girl. For so long, it took me so long to realize that's not a freaking compliment, and it was just it's such a normalized thing to hear. And it wasn't until like fairly recently, but like I think once I started like getting a little into like post drinking age, that I was like, oh, you know what, this kind of isn't what's up. This is what's hot in the streets. I don't want to be this person. And so started learning a little bit about like, I don't know, black people, like that, like, I don't know, learning that being black isn't something that like you're awesome and amazing and beautiful, despite it's all part of the experience. But it just sucks that like that's something you have to learn,
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel that one. Yeah, I've experienced that before. Not from my family so much, thank God. I got the like, I got the Oreo. I got you talk white. And why do you talk white? I'm like, what are you talking about? What I talk white? Like proper? Like English? Like, I'm sorry. So I got the you're different. You just have a different vibe. Like you're not like the other everyone else. I'm like, back then I didn't know to take offense to it or what. So I was like, what do you mean? So no, yeah, I've experienced that. Yeah, it sucks, but
Yeah. And there's also like the desire to not like alienate anyone or like not alienate yourself. So you don't want to be like, this isn't actually a cool thing for you to say because everyone's like, oh my God, why are you being so dramatic? So it's like you don't really want to rustle jimmies by saying like, hey, yo, chill. But
Exactly. Yeah.
You're like, it's not that deep, and you're like, it is.
yeah,
It
I'm
kind
gonna
of
think about
is.
this all night. I'm all week, all year. I'm gonna think about this. Really, and this is a throwaway comment to you, you know. So, yeah, no, I'm at the point now that I totally just I say it, and I'm like, hey, that's not cute. But it took a lot of unlearning to get there.
Yeah. I feel you.
Yeah, I definitely can identify with that because I didn't have a lot of Black friends growing up, and already I had a lot of not traditional Black, I guess, interests. So I was already on the outside when I went to school. So I didn't have to deal with a lot of that from my family, but a lot of my white friends used to say like, "Oh, you're an Oreo," or you're the whitest Black guy ever, like because of the things that you like. And at the time, I thought like, "Oh, it's okay. Like I'm different. I guess that's like a badge of honor." But like, obviously, older Onyx is like, no, that wasn't really cool. And I think even then it made me feel uncomfortable, but I didn't have a way to identify what I was feeling at the time. And I just kind of went with it. And like you said, you didn't want to like ruffle feathers by saying like, oh, that's not really cool. And because it makes me feel some type of way. And obviously you would have got called dramatic and the whole nine. So I just kind of kept it to myself, but enjoyed the fandom because I'm like, oh, I have friends who like the same stuff as me. So like, if I just focus on that, I can ignore these microaggressions. So
Yeah.
Sucks.
My experience was kind of weird because I grew up in a largely Black neighborhood, but we were all Caribbean. Like majority of the area was Jamaican or Haitian. So being into like fantasy and Star Wars and stuff like that wasn't necessarily that, oh, you're acting white, but it's like you're weird because that's not what we do. And it's like, and for a while I was like, oh, is it just me and my family? Because my mom's a huge nerd. My mom introduced me to punk rock. She introduced me to like Blade and Marvel and all this other stuff. And it was like, is my family just weird or like, is it me? So I spent all this time trying to figure out who's the weird person in the situation. Are these people just not understanding me as a person, and that there's a duality of being Black, being Caribbean, and being able to like stuff that aren't stereotypically for us? Or is my family just weird and we're all nerds? It's a little bit of both.
And no, I went to a pretty much all Black school too, and I was wearing fishnets and listening to punk and occasionally spiking my hair, and people had to remind me, oh, you're Black, right? Like, and I'm like, no, I like what I like, whatever. And I think that experience has made me, I think that experience made it easier for me to get on board with the whole you can be Black and be edgy and like nerdy stuff. And if I had grown up around white people and had the same personality, it might have been a little different. I might have been, in that danger zone. But fortunately, I had Black people all around me and that were supportive and encouraging and just let me be my weird little self, I guess. And my mom let me listen to my devil music.
Oh man, it's funny. Like in my experience, I grew up in Northern California in Roseville area. If any of y'all know where that is.
Yeah, I know where that's at. Yeah.
I was one of 4 Black people in my. I've never had more than 4 Black people in my school.
Wow.
In any school. Wow. And one of them was my sister most of the time.
Oh.
So, so I always got that. Is that your brother? And like, nah. Is that one your brother? No. Is that your sister? Actually, yeah. Yeah, that is. But I kind of share a lot of Nidra's story because grew up, I was always, my mom was a nerd. Introduced me to Star Wars. She was very into Star Trek and just sci-fi in general. I grew up skateboarding, playing music. I was always an emo post-hardcore kid, doing my thing, and um, snowboarding, wakeboarding, all that stuff. But I still had both sides on it because my mom grew up in Southern California and was like a straight up Valley girl and all this stuff. My dad is straight from the ghettos of Chicago, and so his whole side of the family is basically the two halves of the family are very, very different. So so I grew up with my dad giving me all this Motown influence, and then my mom's favorite band being Aerosmith. I kind of grew up on both sides of the track. But for me, this is just me, and it took me a long time, like you guys were saying, to unlearn a lot of this stuff because when you're younger, that approval of like you're different or you're like you're better than most of the black people I've met is kind of how it comes across. And at first that sounds like a compliment. It's not. It's not. So but of course once you get a bit older, you're just like, no, not dealing with you.
I'm excited I'm excited to have a post-hardcore punk emo friend. I didn't know that about you. That's cool.
Oh man, yeah. My favorite band is Thrice, but like I've been to I don't know, Taste of Chaos and stuff was my jam. Yeah.
You going to When We Were Young Fest?
Oh, but my wife brings me the poster. She's like, "Have you heard of these bands?" And I was like, "Oh yeah, I've seen Thursday and AFI and Bring Me the Horizon, and like, oh yeah, I've seen like 90% of these people. Awesome.
Yeah.
I would love to go to this again."
I went to Riot Fest last year, so I'm like, I'm good. I don't have to do the When We Were Young, unless there's like a hookup or something. But otherwise, I'm like, I'm chilling.
Hey, right there. Nah, it's crazy how you guys are talking about that because I was thinking and relating myself to all the the nerdy stuff, but I got the alternative music too as well. So I was actually born and raised in Oakland, California. So Choco, you're familiar with that. And I moved around when I was 16 to a town called Pittsburgh, California, and it was a little more mixed and diverse than Oakland, but what I would get a lot of the ridicules because I listened to all types of music, and I listened to alternative. I listened to back then, who was it? Lit. Who else? Did the Aerosmith and everything like that, but they would look at me like from our own kind, the black people in there, like, well, and one of my best friends was white, so they was like, well, you know you were black, right? I was like, no shit. Yes, I know this.
I do the sanity check, like you're just like 10 or whatever.
Why are you listening to this music? Well, I listen to all music. I mean, I was one of the few people who actually had a car and license and did all that stuff like that in high school, and so I was known for that. But I was on the golf team because it just was interesting. Like, oh, you should be playing basketball. It's like, I don't want to play basketball. I can play basketball. I don't want to play basketball. I'm 6'1" as a freshman. Oh, trying to get recruited by the coaches and everything. They expected me to play basketball, but I went for the golf team. And I mean, I got made teased a little bit, but I looked at it as more of now is like I think they were more jealous than or envious because it's like I didn't go with the crowd, the norm, and I'm like, huh. But back then it hurt because I felt like I was ridiculed, so It sucked.
Yeah, and that's why like I loved finding all you guys in this like wonderful space, because it feels because you end up getting partially excluded from both sides, you know. I ended up God, who was I seeing? I think it was I don't remember. I can't remember. But I go to this this one show with this one band playing um, with my friend, and she's a white girl, and people are hardcore dancing, all this stuff, and we're just having fun. But I keep getting these random people like coming up to her as if like, why is that guy here? Or do you know him? Or is he like, and I'm like, yeah, man, like, leave me alone.
Yeah, I've been asked a lot at shows, like if I'm with the label. One of my best friends' band was playing with a hip hop group. So I was backstage and they were like, "Oh, are you with this hip hop artist?" I'll tell you guys in private, but like, "Are you guys with him? Are you with him?" And I'm like, "No, I'm with the rock band." And it was sort of like that happened a few times while I was backstage. You're like, "Oh, you're getting away from the rap section." It's like, no, that's not it. That's not what's hot in the streets. But yeah, regularly I get asked if I'm with the label. If I'm bored at shows, like, "Oh, this is weird, right?" I'm like, "No, I love this band. What are you doing?"
Okay, so you just so not to cut anybody off, sorry, but it was funny. So my wife is white, okay, and we just had came back. We went to Reno a couple weeks ago when I was sick. I got COVID in Reno for my friend's wedding, and it was funny. It was like I was driving back home because she was tired. I said I'll drive, and so I put on my Pandora and I put on 90s hits, 90s and 2000 hits. So I'm just like jamming, all kinds of music, and so the song "Creep" comes on. And I'm just like I can sing that whole damn like every word, but it's not that many words, but I can sing everything, hit the notes and everything. And so she's like nodded out and she wakes up and I'm just going in on it. And she's like, and the song goes off. She's like, "How in the hell do you know that song?" I'm like, because she's never experienced me and my alternative music, because I really don't listen to music like that all the time. So she's like, I said, well, I had a phase in a stage that I listened to a lot of alternative music, and that was one of them, though. So she's like, okay, learn a lot about you still after we've been together for 10 years. Like, hey, gotta keep it fresh.
Man, I wish it could be a fly
That's
in
part
the
of the
wall.
adventure.
Hearing you just like run.
Oh man.
I love it. And it always leads to just, I don't know, funny situations like that. But I guess so. What is it? Why do you think there's less of us in these spaces? How do we bridge that gap?
By doing what we're doing now. There has to be more faces that look like ours seeing us. So what we're doing right now is a great example of that. Because growing up, I thought I was like one of maybe 30 of us. I didn't think there was a lot of black nerds who were into Star Wars or into certain things that I was into. Lord of the Rings, for example. Like, I was like, I'm pretty much alone out here. And if I saw one, I was like, oh my God, you also are into this stuff? Like, it was all very new. Like, it's great to see it now that more people are coming out who are like, I'm a black nerd. I'm like, oh, there was a lot more of us who probably all thought the same thing, like, oh, I'm by myself. So if we want to see more people in this space, we have to show that we're here. At least to me.
No, I love, because you saying that just reminds me of like every now and then I'm driving somewhere and I would be like listening to like the Kooks in my car, and as I'm rolling up, they're like, "All right, we'll switch to hip hop as I'm rolling up to this party." You know what I mean? Like, I got it.
Yeah,
you gotta make sure. But that kind of goes to what I was mentioning about code switching. Element 7, my dyad Pep in the chat told me the story of one of his best friends didn't know he was into Star Wars because he just never talked about it to that person, and I'm curious on how many of us, because like for me growing up, I also didn't know that Black people liked anime. Now it turns out all of them do, but we just never talked. It never came up, And so I'm curious how much, if we talked about it, what that would look like, or if there's any of these places where, they get avoided because we don't think there's going to be anyone like us there, or certain things like that. I'm curious what you guys think.
I've always been a big, like, if I want to go to a show or something and I don't know anyone who wants to go, I'm going to go, like, regardless. It doesn't just apply to just shows. It's like anything I want to do. If I can't find someone to do it with me, it doesn't matter. I'll go by myself. And I understand a lot of people aren't like that because that's scary and that's hard. And that's a difficult thing to push yourself to do. And I think there's just so much anxiety about sticking out as a person of color when you're in a space where it's a lot of people who don't look like you, and you're going to stick out like a sore thumb. Like everyone remembers the one brown person that was wherever, like I don't know how many times back in the day in like college or whatever, I would introduce myself, or my like one semester college where I would introduce myself like, I'm the Black girl who's friends with so and so. Like that's you realize you're just exposed a lot of the time. And I work in STEM. I'm a software engineer. And so I've been training for a long time on how to exist in spaces where I am the odd one out. And I learned that, like, some women in tech dress down. They'll wear like, sweatpants and stuff to try to like not stick out too much. And I'm kind of the opposite, where I'm like, I'm gonna be full on clown mode. I'm gonna look like you're not gonna know what to expect at any given moment. And I do that because I want to encourage other women and other POC to feel comfortable being their whole selves in this space where traditionally we don't feel like we can. And I make it a point to use AAVE in like our Slack channels and like all of that, because I want to normalize that. And I think that's really important. And I think that's a great way to sort of like welcome people in the spaces. I'm I'm one of the co-directors of an employee group at my company that focuses on bringing in people who don't have computer science degrees. So like illuminating the pathway and demystifying the pathway to a job in tech for people who didn't go the traditional route or don't have that traditional background. That kind of stuff is really important. And I think that's one way to kind of bridge the gap and get people into nerdier spaces, not just like, in like the fun kind of way, but also in the kind of way that can enrich your life. I couldn't have all this nonsense if it wasn't for that.
That's dope.
Awesome.
Yeah, that is awesome.
I love it. And some of us, had different experiences where we weren't, where I'm growing up and I have to, I'm paying the bills for my family and my grandma. So, you know what I mean? Like, so I'm limited in the opportunities because of certain obligations. And so I'd love to see that people opening the door, my own father works in tech, but he opened the door and then closed it promptly behind him as he walked.
Oh. Jesus.
You want that ladder right back up.
but that's a conversation for another day. We're moving on past that though. We have a really good relationship now.
That's good.
Exactly, Anna. Exactly.
Oh man, we have as soon as no one was chatting, and as soon as I dismissed the chat, everyone's jumping up. I got Camilla living for this conversation. The Sassy Mano reads, I love the encouragement for people to just enjoy and love the things that they do unapologetically. And this looks wonderful. It is wonderful.
Yeah.
But I actually think that the pandemic is going to change the world for the good. and the fact that it's being inside for so long means that you spend so much time without outside judgment that everyone just got weird. Everyone just unapologetically dove into some crazy things, and yeah, we're all weirdos now. So
Yeah, I agree.
I feel really bad for my extroverted friends because when they were like, "Hey, stay home for 6 months," I'm like, "Oh no, in my room by myself. No, my books. Oh God, what am I gonna do?" I was like, "I'm loving this," and my extroverted friends are like, "I gotta go to a party. I gotta go." I was like, "I can't relate. I can stay home all day and be okay."
I'm an extrovert, and the thing that ended up saving me last year, and also that kind of like got me started in cosplay, was emo night in Texas. Was a party that would happen once a week or like once a month or whatever. And during the pandemic, they made it Streamo night, and it became a Zoom party. So it was like, yeah, so it was like a DJ was playing, and they would use the stream video highlight as a shot cam. And so like different people who had their videos on would get highlighted, and they'd like either do a shot or dance or sing along to the song. And I made some amazing friends that mean the world to me now. We hung out IRL last year. And it was just like a whole lot of like incredibly important, I got all those little boxes checked as an extrovert, and then I also ended up finding something that like changed my life. Honestly, like I don't know. It's weird. I don't know if I ever would have had the desire to share something like cosplay with people who aren't me, if it weren't for that group of people. And I think the pandemic has been really interesting in that regard too. That is sort of pushing people to try things and inspiring people to try things. And TikTok has held so many people down in a good way during this pandemic. You know, gave them a place to sort of channel all that energy and that desire to talk.
Yeah, I agree. It's funny that you say that you wouldn't have seen yourself sharing your cosplay with other people, because I actually use cosplay to be an extrovert, because I am an introvert. I've always been an introvert, and the first time I actually was able to cosplay, the first time I cosplay outside was at my job. We had like some big like superhero things. So my boss that's actually how I got my first Jedi costume. My boss is like, "Oh, he bought one. It didn't fit him." He said, "You want it?" I said, "Hell yeah, I want it. Give me." I put it on and got the whole get up, and I took it. He's like, "You look good, man. You look real good." I was like, "All right, cool." So I kept it, and then and it was people I work with, so I was comfortable with them, and everybody's like, "Oh, you look good." But Force Awakens, I actually went took my lightsaber out there, and I saw some people cosplaying, like, you know, actually was dressed up and everything. I was like, "That's dope." Like, I was like, that was so dope. I said, I could never do that. Like, I have so much respect to you guys. And so I start getting into marketing and networking, all this stuff like that, and start like really like, it's like, well, I had a different mindset shift. And I said, so the Last Jedi, I was like, I'm gonna dress up and go. I called the AMC. I was like, "Hey, can I do this?" They was like, "Yeah, you're fine. You can do it." I was like, "All right." So I said, I gotta use this to get out my comfort zone. I was like, so I went out there. I didn't care what people was thinking. I had my lightsaber, that one over there, and I'm like dressed up full, suited and booted. Everyone loved it. It was just like, you know, people's like, "Oh, this you look so good. It's cool." I was scared crapless. Thank God it was cold, because I would have been sweating like a pig in a slaughterhouse.
Oh, man.
It's funny because like this stuff because it works on both sides for both extroverts and introverts. Like myself being very introverted, the pandemic didn't really affect me. You know, it's like listen, I used to go out a lot, but that was to find my wife, and I found her. So like, it's so noisy out here. Like, but when your situation changes and it's no longer a place where people are like forcibly taking your energy away, well, now you can actually choose where to put it and where to channel it, which has made me, I don't know, more friendly, more talkative and stuff like that, despite being an introvert. But yeah, I really relate to that story to Paul because I'm the guy that like I literally know how to play a guitar because I didn't want to talk to people like at gatherings. So I was like,
Ooh.
I'm gonna sit here and do this because I'm a drummer by trade.
Oh, cool. Yeah, no, yeah, he's right. It's a triad.
How about you, Synovia?
I don't know, like I just feel like the TikTok community that I found myself in helped me make friends. Like I've always been the person who's like, oh, I'm friends with these people because I'm friends with someone they're friends with. And it's gotten to a point where like just being on TikTok and engaging with other people, it's like, no, these are my friends. I know these people because they know me. They don't know somebody that I'm friends with. And I'm an introvert. I love being locked up in my room and not having to go anywhere. But the fact that I can still also reach out to people and be like, yeah, I like spending time with you. I like hanging out with you, even if I don't have to like go outside to do it.
Yeah.
So I'm just a little thankful for this, but like
There's the silver lining, you know.
yeah.
After spending so much time like alone, I'm like, all right, I guess I'll put on pants today. No, Camilla says it's been hard for extroverts, but shout out to Star Wars TikTok being a godsend. And it's funny because it's led to things. You know, I've gotten to hang out with Camilla in real life, with Camilla and Xanthi and Element 7, and hopefully we'll get to see all of y'all at Celebration because I will definitely be there.
So, someone sort out tickets because I don't even know what's happening there.
I need tickets.
No one does. I'm starting to get worried that it'll get pushed back or changed again, but we'll see. Even if I can't get tickets, I'll still be there. So
I get out outside.
He's like, I'm going one way or another.
So, what do you think? How do you think we're doing? At least in Star Wars, in the Star Wars community, with the representation that we have, and is it good, bad, and how can we do better? Because obviously, there's always room for improvement.
Okay, so I think about this all the time because I've started reading I haven't started reading the High Republic. I'm pretty far into it. And the representation that you see in those books is perfect compared to like the movies and the cartoons and like the TV shows, because there are queer people, there are brown people, and it's not made like a super point of interest, like it's not a big deal. And that whole vibe of being allowed as a brown person to exist in Star Wars and not have it questioned is the best. Mm-hmm. However, that does not unfortunately translate to fandom.
Looking at you, Lord of the Rings.
No, what are they doing over there?
Yeah,
they're a bunch of babies. Like it. I'm sorry. It tilts me so bad because I'm like, you guys will just go out of your way to be miserable for the dumbest things, like
for things that are actually canon.
Right? Like or it's like, well, there's no such thing as this character. I'm like, all right, so maybe it's just an added character. This doesn't change the writings that he did. It's so minute. Just relax.
Also, really, all this for Tolkien? Like. Yeah. Really? I mean, like, think about it. Like, we're thinking about him as a person, right? Maybe let's not hold on to his like thoughts and beliefs so close to the chest, right? Like, maybe we should be able to like remix it a little for the 2022. I'm sure he's fine.
Like, people tend to forget that. I think I don't know, the Tolkien, basically the people who own his writings, and they weren't happy with the Fellowship of the Ring when it first came out. That was not a movie they were wild about.
Yeah.
That is one of the best movies I've seen. So, I mean, it's really not that big of a deal. Just enjoy it. And obviously people are not going to watch it. They'll complain about anything. This is the people who are complaining about what's happening in Lord of the Rings, I assume are the same people who were angry when they saw Finn as a stormtrooper. Like, stormtroopers can't be black. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, go away. Shoot. Tomato.
I still can't believe that even to this day, like I was like, oh, are you serious over a stormtrooper? I was they're like,
right.
Where did this come from? Like, I was like, I couldn't believe it. I was like, didn't we just have it? Like, yeah, we had Samuel L. Jackson doing the Mace Windu, but I'm like, seriously, a stormtrooper? Like, I was like, okay, I guess we doing this now.
I think I'm really happy about TikTok being a thing. So one of my things, and I've kind of been sidestepping making this video, is basically about how everyone likes to say the Star Wars fandom is toxic. And I think it's kind of like not anything to do with the source material, but it's a direct byproduct of the Star Wars is for everybody thing. One of the first things you learn in ethics is what? You can't please everybody. There's always going to be there's going to be people who are disappointed all the time. So Star Wars is for everybody doesn't mean all Star Wars is for everybody. It means there's something in the Star Wars universe for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
The struggle with the movies is that they often try to like make that a literal thing, and they try to make a film that appeals to the largest amount of people possible, and they overthink it to the point that they end up alienating fans. TikTok is awesome in that you get to curate your own space. You get to curate the people that you see in your Star Wars bubble and the opinions that you have to hear and interact with. And I think that's what's been really cool about being able to find Star Wars TikTok, or the side of Star Wars TikTok that I'm on, because it's a bunch of really smart, really hot, really talented, really interesting and funny people. And not a whole lot of the toxic, ashy, like literally the only time the really ashy opinions end up on my For You page is when someone like stitches them. That's it.
She called them ashy.
She did.
That hurt. Like,
just dry and unseasoned opinions. They don't come on my For You page very much unless someone's stitching them to drag them. And I love that.
You know what? I've noticed that too about mine. Like people like, oh, you get this toxic fan. Like, I've had one person say something once, and this was like almost half a year ago, and I chewed his ass out, and I haven't had nothing else come up. Like, I'm like, what happened? I was like, oh, okay, whatever, I guess. So when somebody says something negative, I've always been big and tall. So I've always been the one who will take the blunt of the punishment for somebody. It's like, what's up? You want to come on, bring it.
I gotta say, like, when I first got into the Star Wars TikTok, I was part of the ashy, unseasoned people for a little bit because I wasn't really wild about The Last Jedi, and I think I even had an interaction with DePaul at one point when we were talking about that. Yeah. And then running into Chaco and Element and JJ, and then eventually just rewatching the sequels and having a better understanding of what I was looking at, I was like, I think it was me. I was going in there with expectations that wasn't really, they were never canon to begin with, and I kind of evolved from there. And I was like, I think it's me, and I think a lot of people are still stuck in like, this is not my Luke Skywalker, this isn't my Star Wars, but
they're gonna fight and claw, but I'm gonna make it happen, y'all. I'm gonna make it happen. I'm gonna give some media literacy tickets out to this fandom. It's gonna happen, man. I believe in us. I know. Like, people are so close. I just made a video about the mod squad or whatever, like the little kids in Book of Boba Fett, and it's really interesting seeing people, once they have to think about why they don't like something, kind of scramble to find the reason. That is one of my favorite things to do in a debate. Ask someone and ask yourself. This is something I plead to people all the time when they engage with media, because yeah, it's just Star Wars, right? But also you can learn a lot about yourself based on how you engage with stuff like that. So if you say, I don't like the mods, why? Well, they're just annoying. Why are they annoying? What specifically about them annoys you? They're too colorful. They're too clean. Too colorful and too clean for what? For Tatooine, look at it. Yeah, but they're a counterculture. Their whole thing is to create an antithetical aesthetic to whatever is around them. So, like, why does that bother you? And then once you start to examine that, you realize it's because you are in this sort of like bubble of this is my Star Wars. My Star Wars looks like this and feels like this. But an overarching theme of the Book of Boba Fett is aging, moving on, realizing that the things you once did and found power in doing will not work forever, and you will have to adapt with the times or get left behind. And the mod kids are a shining example of that.
You gotta let the past die. Kill it if you have to.
And I think they missed that whole damn thing. I really do think. I'm like, did y'all not watch the? Like, he literally said that through the whole trilogy.
Right. And he was on it.
I swear, I was saying like it's like this is an open book test, and the teacher is walking by your desk and tapping your desk and saying, "Y'all, this is an open book test. Check your answers. Check your answers."
Tapping on the book.
Right. At your desk.
This is closed.
Like looking at
highlighter.
You need to double check your answers. I feel like it's literally that, especially when Cad Bane came in and literally said it. Like, y'all, please, man, we can do this. We can do this. I believe in us.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Yeah, it's I don't know, man. I mean, I think there are also some aspects or some pockets that have probably gotten worse. But I love seeing, you know, the character development in the fan base, because there are a lot of people. You know, there was times where when I was little, and I think this is why I'm able to love these things so unapologetically, is because I already stood out. So what is it like? I already stood out as the one black guy like who likes Star Wars. So why does it matter that I'm the one black guy that likes the prequels when I grew up and everyone hated them? And I was like, I thought I was literally the only person that enjoyed them for a long time. And yeah, I mean, this stuff is, but I love what you said, because asking those questions exposes a lot. I had a series of posts where I was talking about the Jedi and like how at fault were the Jedi with their own downfall. And people were going off and like, yeah, they're slavers and they kidnap children, and they're like, and all this like, people were just going ham in these weird directions and like how they're the worst things ever and all this stuff. And I made another post and I said, given the situation, what could they have done better? And people were like, well, I see how they got there. Okay, put those two together. Understand, you know. I don't know. I just think
it's so crazy how people are so fast and so quick and just like so easily want to tear something down, but they can't come up with a solution on how something is going to be good or how to fix something or how to change something. It's like what I always say about The Last Jedi is this: like at first I was like, I didn't care for it. My thing is like, it's Star Wars. I don't give a damn. I love it and I'm gonna enjoy it. But I didn't care for it when I first saw it, and the reason was because I watched all the damn theories and predictions and toxic people on YouTube.
Yeah.
And that just really messed my whole like I was waiting and anticipating and expecting something, and it didn't happen. I'm like, well, that sucked. I didn't like this movie. And then when I went back and watched it and with the open mind, like, hold on, let me watch a movie, and like, okay, cool. But I still didn't get it until after I watched The Rise of Skywalker, and then everything clicked, because I didn't watch no trailers, I didn't watch no YouTube things or anything for the Rise of Skywalker, and I loved the movie. I was like, this is amazing, because I didn't have any expectations. And then I went back and watched The Last Jedi, and I was like, wait, everybody's saying this ain't Luke Skywalker. This is Luke Skywalker, because guess what? He literally said it. Oh, I'm Luke Skywalker, the legend.
Right.
I'm like, and then that just hit me so damn hard, because on multiple levels. On one, being a man. Two, being a black man. 3, having that expectation that, hey, from your family, your loved ones, you have this expectation to do this. And from society as well, I was like, oh, Luke, I love this Luke. Like, you have to carry this big old burden, and like, people are looking at you and saying like, okay, well, we expect you to do this. I can't do that. Why are you expecting me to do that? I'm still human.
Yes.
And so that whole thing made so much sense. And I was like, people was like, well, why don't you like it? I was like, well, I like it. I actually love it because it shows the flaws in someone, the humanity of somebody. And he's saying, hey, yes, I can lift giant rocks with my mind. I can do this with the Force, but I still fail.
What have you done for me lately?
If you did this before, you should do it again. And you're like, I can't.
That's not how life works. Like, sometimes you fall back into old habits. Yes. Like, humans in general are creatures of habit. And going back and watching what Luke did, the true version of what he did when he was confronting Ben, it was in character for him, because he had that same moment, almost shot for shot, the same moment that when he was holding his lightsaber and looking at his hand, and he heard the whirls of the machinery in it when he had beat the piss out of Vader. And he's like, this isn't right. But at that point, it was already too late, because Ben had seen him. And he was like, no, this wasn't how I was supposed to do it. So all of it for him was like, I did this. I was the catalyst. I didn't learn the lesson. And so that's why he took himself out of the equation. And I was like, that's a real man dealing with some difficult shit. Like, he kind of messed up the galaxy. He was like, I learned nothing. I fell into the same hubris as the Jedi before me. And that's beautiful.
The vibes continue.
Yeah.
The vibes awaken in the book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You see echoes of what he becomes in that. And I'm like, it's all tied together.
The whole thing is an allegory about aging and chronic illness and noticing your limitations. Yeah. And the Tuskens episode 3 is, I have been working on a video about that for YouTube for a minute, because it's a spicy meatball. But something that I think about it, and I still stand behind, I think it was a good choice, because it forced the fan base to reconsider what Anakin Skywalker did, to actually feel it. You could say, oh yeah, I killed a village of, it was the men and the women, and like, whatever, fine, you could do that. You can say that. It can become a meme. We can laugh about it.
Yeah.
But like, ultimately, would you get to grow and hang out with that village and realize they're people who have like, kids, and like they do things? It hits real different when suddenly it's the exact same thing that happens to them. That was a sacrifice I feel like was made for the fan base more than Boba's progression, because I think Boba's progression was made when he did the psychedelics. But we could talk about that another time.
Well, I mean, you saying that just makes you think of when the train comes by, they're shooting, and it's senseless death. And we see Boba walking, carrying someone's body, and it's the same exact scene as Anakin, except reversed in every single way possible.
Yeah.
So he's walking back with a Tusken who died, with this selfless act, this senseless act of violence, except it's just reversed. He's wearing all white, Anakin's wearing all dark colors. It's Anakin did it in the daytime, he's doing it at nighttime. But like, the scene is just powerful because it's the same thing. Like, there are people who care for these people on both sides, and what happened to Anakin's mom is terrible. But what happened to that Tusken is terrible too.
Yeah, and then all of the knowledge. But yeah, no, it was like also this whole thing of like people being like, they humanize them just to kill them. I'm like, okay, one, homie, that's life. Two, essentially, the reason that happened is because we went on this magical, beautiful journey with Boba and with these people. but that changed absolutely nothing for the universe that they exist in. They're still viewed as animals. They're still viewed as disposable in the universe that they live on. Tatooine, people still see them that way. They weren't on that journey with us. That was me, you, Boba, and the Tuskens. That wasn't everyone else around them. So that was always going to be a thing until they cleaned up the planet, until they like actually did something about the violence and the death that was happening there.
Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it feels like a failure of expectation and like entitlement, where both the fandom and the people who exist in Star Wars, they have expectations for these main characters that we see. They have things that they want them to do, how they want things to play out, just like the fans have an idea of what they want and like how they want things to play out. And both in the Star Wars universe and in real life, you are not entitled to those things. What will happen will happen. And as much as you might not like it, like I didn't like that the Tuskens died, but it happened and I can't change that. And I can be upset about it, but I can't be like, that's not what I wanted, so it has to be different. I'm not the one writing the show. Right. I'm not entitled to that, just like how unfortunately Boba's not entitled to being, I don't know how to explain that without like sounding like an asshole, but Boba is not in. He wants happiness, and I think he deserves happiness. I do not think that the people of the Star Wars universe think that he is entitled to happiness. They do not expect him to be happy. They do not anticipate his happy ending. So
I still think it's a journey, right? Because
yeah, it's a journey.
So like, I don't think his journey's over, but I think there's also just the fact that like, he, even ending this season with "I don't think this is for us" means he wants to try on a different adventure. You know, he wants to do something different now because he realized this wasn't the happy ending he was hoping it was. Like, he's kind of like all of us on a quest for whatever feels good and ends up being the thing. Like, some people fall into the thing on that quest and some people don't. And I think also another thing that's like really important to consider about him is like, the Book of Boba Fett, the title is really interesting because I kind of feel like it's a book in what, you know, like if you're thinking about the Bible, and I mean, whatever Bible, they all have the same kind of arrangement, I think. If you're thinking about it, there's a lot of chapters and books of certain people, and it has a lot of like extra characters and all that sort of stuff, and I think that's like important to consider. Yeah. I got brain decided to go sit down in the corner. My brain did the little chrysanthemum jog off into the
corner. Also, I got a shout out Jedi Master DePaul.
It don't stop, even if I'm on the show. It doesn't stop. That's what happens.
No, we always appreciate the support, and just the support of this community in general. Again, I always say I didn't think I would be making videos online for people, let alone talking to strangers on the internet.
Right.
That ain't
right. Literally.
That's not my Chaco.
Yeah, I had no expectation that people would care about my opinions. Like, man. I thought it was going to be like, give me Ahsoka or give me nothing. And the fact that like my biggest videos have been me out of cosplay or me talking about stuff blows my mind. 100%
yeah, you are delightful. I've been meaning to have you on for a long time. Actually, you ghosted me the first time, so.
What? No, I was doing something really interesting and cool and no, or I was like, I don't remember. It was one or the other.
No, it's all good. But no, it was because everything that we're talking about, you know, in universe and in the movies and in the Book of Boba Fett, still applies at large, because people will do things that we don't expect them to do. You know, you can't look at someone and say this is how they're going to be. That's how I exist, you know, in this community. But I think that's just the beautiful message that has been coming out in both, you know, Book of Boba Fett and The Last Jedi. I think they've made it very clear that these characters are like King Arthur. When you are young Arthur and you're an amazing warrior and you pull the sword out of the stone, and Merlin teaches you your tricks and all this stuff, that's awesome. And then you become king, and just because you're good at killing things doesn't mean you're going to be a good king. Those are two different jobs. They
Yes.
require very, very different skill sets, right? Just because
restarted The Sopranos, and yeah, Junior is making mistakes, and it's kind of the same energy. Like, you come in and you're the boss, and you think that you can do things the same way that you did. I also want to re-examine the fact that Boba came in and was like, "Hey, Pikes, listen, here's what's up. I'm gonna tell y'all what's what. Y'all are gonna pay my people, and y'all are gonna run us our money, and that's it." And then next thing you know, that got collected. Also, overarching theme of no half measures, because consistently, every time someone sent a Pike back to deliver the message, something awful came back. So it's sort of like, how about we like full measures only when dealing with them. And I think that's what the finale was. Also, can we talk about, probably shouldn't have been 7 episodes, probably should have been more. There's shooting constraints. I'm assuming.
Shooting constraints, COVID
Yeah,
stuff.
that's what I meant. Like,
I agree with that. I definitely would have loved to see Boba bond with his Rancor a lot more. Like, we knew he was going to ride. We knew he was going to ride with that thing. Like, anyone who saw him in the Rancor, oh, this is my pet. I was like, fantastic. He's going to be on this thing at some point. Can't wait to see it. But
same with me and Stanton, yeah.
Show kind of but like show kind of yada over him just like, okay, now I'm on this. And that was something I would have changed. I also would have changed how the Rancor was calmed down. Granted, it was great to see Grogu utilize his force powers, but I was hoping that the Rancor would only have been calmed by Boba, seeing Boba and then coaxing it down. And then I think that would have been powerful for the people of Mos Espa to see that he calmed this beast down. He gets back on it. He was like, this is my town. And he's talking to whoever, like the remaining Pikes, get out. It was like, that would have been awesome. Like, it would have established like, oh yeah, he's that dude. Like, this is the guy who's going to be keeping us safe. But
also,
like, I'm not saying I didn't like what we got, but
no Pikes.
No Pikes.
We don't do that anymore. We don't do that anymore.
Yeah. Also, for some reason, I want to see him fist bump the Rancor. I just wanted to see it. It was like, dude, that was sick. And then the Rancor's like, bro.
Them giving Chrysanthemum the melon. They knew what they were doing.
Yeah.
Rewarding the real MVP.
When he threw that guy and shot him in the chest,
that was amazing.
That was the best.
Well, I was like, that man's chest is already concave, and he was like, I'm gonna shoot you for extra measure. I'm like, taking on Trandoshans this whole time, guy. Like, granted, I remember seeing that episode where he was in the bar and he Trandoshan, so I was like, he's gonna beat them up. Like, there's no way he doesn't, because Wookiees and that, and I was like, Chrysanthemum's like Black Air Force energy. He's like about to beat these guys up. He had another sip of his Wookiee Hennessy and got up and started beating. I was like, whoa. And then she was trying to coax him out, and he was like, all right, I'm gonna leave. Ripped off the arm. I was like, yeah, I mean, I get it. Like,
put it on my tab, yeah.
Right, yeah, threw the change at her. Yeah, whatever. I'm out of here.
So the arm.
It was really cool to see him, because like, one, it's a comic book character that they put into the show. Well, like, think about that. We got comic book characters put into the show, and the elements, man.
Oh, we gotta get that at Disneyland.
I'm gonna make this shirt. I got pushed. That's gonna happen. I'm gonna make this shirt. I'm gonna make it happen.
You heard it here first, folks.
I love it. All right.
Happy Black History Month, by the way.
Huh?
Right. Happy Black History Month.
Happy Black History Month.
But that was another thing that's fascinating about the show, is like they're all aging people of color. You know what I mean? And
Yeah, Cassandra's another one where, you know, we had our delightful queen remind us that he was like an NCAA player who was, you know, underpaid and overworked and all that sort of stuff, a legend of sorts. But no, like he was a gladiator and he, you know, was partaking in blood sport and all that sort of stuff. And I think that is really fascinating. And B, it tells you a lot about why he's so loyal to whoever hires him now, because that's not what's required of him anymore. He's required to be around, and his love language is obviously acts of service, and so that's why he was so upset when the Hutt twins, you know, were like, you know, when Step Bro was like, "No, we're out, we're good, we don't need you anymore." And he jogged off to go hit the Hennessy and
The Hennessy.
I need a drink of that shit.
to
My
condition
yak.
You can't tell me he didn't
with
sit-
the yak. With the yak.
You
Oh
can't
my
tell
god!
me he didn't sit there looking drunk as hell. Be like, that is
Oh,
some
he was
drunk
killing
looking.
it.
Bro,
Oh, he was killing it.
He was just fuming. He was like, man, they got rid of me. Man, I can't believe it.
Called his favorite
These damn
Russian.
he was just
And he's looking at them Trans-Russians. Look at them over there sitting there thinking they better than me. I'm gonna whip that guy off. Like what you say about me? Like he didn't say anything to you, sir. Like,
Hey, did you see the tradition's face when he looked like, what the fuck I do?
right. Like there are a
he's
bunch
holding
of young 16-year-old
his eyes are
kids.
darting back and forth like, come get
He's
your
like, "Hey, yo."
He's like, oh, so y'all gonna come over here and hunt me, right? Like, we're playing poker. Who are you? Put me down.
Hey, Trandoshan
Oh, my
arms grow
goodness.
back, so
Yeah, they
you
do.
know.
Oh my God, yeah,
I mean, if we had limbs that grew back, I still wouldn't want nobody to rip my arm off. If they don't grow back. That's not the point.
I suppose that's a valid.
I mean, Piccolo will tell you, you know, like that. It don't feel good. You can, get it right back, but it don't feel good. It hurts. Like,
Right.
inside, you can't do that a lot. But yeah, no, I think my character of my dream guy in Star Wars was Thrawn for a very long time because he checks a lot of boxes for me. But oh my god, when they dropped Chrysanthemum, they appealed directly to my toxic dudes in bands and dudes who tell you that, you know, I'm not good enough for you type beat. Like, yeah, that's that man.
Wow.
And he's
Nice.
I think he's worked past it and now he's ready to be there, you know.
I will not lie.
He's ready to open up and be real. Yeah. Gotcha.
When he premiered, I ain't shitting you. I went online. I was like, Cranston, cosplay, costume, how much now?
Right. Bro. Because I was like, finally, I can dress up as this guy. This is going to be fantastic. I already got the height.
Congrats on that.
Both of you
again.
have the height. Why are you both so tall?
Right?
I'm 6'5", dude. Like, I'm a big dude.
6'1". You 6'5"?
Yeah, I'm a big dude.
I'm 6'1".
Like, this is why, like, when I tell people I'm into nerd stuff, like, they just stare at me like, really? Like, you're so tall? Yeah, no, that makes sense. Like,
You're too
black and
tall to
tall,
be a
and you're into
nerd.
nerd stuff.
Get out of here.
Right? Yep.
What a waste of height.
You're right. That's the
Oh,
other
I
thing
hate that.
They're like, so what do you like to do? Probably play basketball. I was like, actually, like, I like football and I like to sit at home and read books. Like, that's my thing. I'm a homebody. Sorry, I don't want to go outside.
What's that you say? You like to throw books.
Like those books.
It was funny. It's like I'm 5'11", but I'm still short in this conversation.
You're
I think I
taller than
win.
Oh,
me.
you're tall.
Yeah, I think I win in the shortness bowl.
How tall are you?
I'll tie everyone's shoes. How tall are you? I love how I pointed at you like you knew, but you knew.
I'm 5'10".
Okay.
I am tying everybody's shoes in this chat. Wow.
How tall are you?
5'2.5" on an incredibly great day.
Oh, you are small.
Yeah.
That's okay. Size matters not.
Oh, that's why I love me some Yods. He's great. He's the bomb.com. And I could like shush. Oh my gosh, no. I'm 5'4" now. How about that? Just out of beef. Like I got that extra spinal height because my chest is full and I'm ready to go.
I don't need a fancy ladder at the library.
Right.
I sure don't.
Yeah. No, I think that one of the things is like somehow, even though I'm like 2 foot nothing, I have really long legs for my height, and that works for Ahsoka. So it just sort of ends up looking like I'm taller than I am. But no, I'm about 4'18".
You said 4'18". I'm over here drawing calculator like, wait, what?
Like, wait.
I love it. All right. Well, let's to kind of come back to things and start wrapping up here. What do you think? What do you guys think we need next, or is there anything that you would like to communicate, about us brown people you wish people knew, or would accept, or what do you think we need in the fandom going forward to make it more accessible?
So actually, I've been thinking about this, and what has been resonating with me a lot is just the representation and what has hit the phrase, there's more of us. We need to show that so much more, because I truly didn't understand how important representation was until these past few years, because it allows people to open that shell and be yourself. I mean, you remember as kids, we used to play superheroes and cowboys and all stuff like that. You didn't care what people thought until somebody told you, no, you can't do this. And then you kept on hearing that. We kept on hearing that all our lives. And then it's like, okay, we can't do that. But now we got adult money. We can do that. And it's like, fuck what you talk. Excuse me. Sorry, Chaco. Screw what you talking about. And we got to show everybody it's okay to do that. And Disney, like all these companies, they're going to do it because they see, hey, they got adult money. Let's give them what they want.
Right.
So it allows people to, it gives everybody a voice, and it's helping me heal on certain things. So just being yourself, being true, and because guess what? There's always going to be negativity out there. There's always going to be negativity. As long as there's positivity, there's going to be negativity. And there's good, there's going to be bad. But as long as we keep on going at it and support each other and keep on doing what we're doing, that's all we can do.
You must be true to your heart. Love it. Yeah, how about you, Zenobia?
I feel like there, in the fandom in general, needs to be an understanding that us getting representation is not taking representation from anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like it's a finite cake where if you get a slice and I get a slice, now there's less slices for everybody else. This is not a finite source. Anybody can be into it, and there are hundreds upon hundreds of Star Wars characters. It should not be an issue if a decent amount of them are brown or black coded or just straight up like black people. That shouldn't be a problem, because it's not taking from you, and it's simply giving me something that you have always had access to. Like in the original trilogy, we had Lando, and then we had Mace Windu, and then we had Finn. There's one per trilogy? No, black people exist in more than that.
Right.
So us being allowed to exist not only in the real world, hello, we're real, but also in Star Wars, like that shouldn't be that far of a stretch. They have sand mammoths, for crying out loud.
True.
I love how you say that, though. Just being allowed to exist, because it feels like a lot of times they feel a need to justify why this person is black here, and you're like, or their parents were just black and they're just here. Like that's a thing that happens too, you know. No. You see, mermaids live under the water, and darker skin tones come from sun.
Don't get me started on that nonsense.
Man.
I had a full argument with one of my friends in a Buffalo Wild Wings. I'm talking about we are at the top of our lungs. And I'm sitting there, I was like, that doesn't make sense. But a Jamaican crab makes sense. That's what you have. That makes sense. That made sense. And he has full on big pink lips, the whole nine. A Jamaican crab makes sense, but not a black Ariel. It's like, if you don't just oh my goodness, you're paying the tab. Get away from me. Just so dumb. I was so frustrated.
The funniest part about that conversation specifically is, y'all know this isn't the original Little Mermaid tale, right?
Right.
Right.
Okay, Disney took a tale that was horrible, by the way.
Yeah.
That was rough and had a super sad ending.
Right.
And then they were like, you know what? We're going to recontextualize it. We'll change it for our audience today to give them something that they'll enjoy. And like, why wouldn't they do that exact same thing again? Like, if you're mad that it's changed from the version you like, but the version you like is not the original version, then you have to be able to respect. Anyways, that's a whole side.
Yeah, that's a whole nother rabbit hole.
Yeah, that's a whole.
But what was the original question? Because I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, well, the original question, and I guess it was kind of meandering. It was a few questions, but it's what needs to happen moving forward in our community, or what type of thing do you wish that other people just could know and could understand?
I wish people knew that, like, you can have black and brown and queer and anyone in these stories. Nothing changes about these stories. It just adds to that world. You have more perspectives, that they have their own stories. It's a human experience. Obviously, we're talking about Star Wars, so human, alien, whatever you want to put there. It is a person's experience, a being's experience that is being put into this universe. What does that take away? Luke is still a white guy. Nothing changes there. Like, it's still Star Wars. It's just richer and fuller. Who doesn't want that? It just makes it more interesting. And I also think people need to see more of us coming out, having these conversations, who do like these things, for the next generation, or the other generation of people who feel that, oh, maybe I can't really get into this. Oh no, this guy likes Star Wars. He looks like me. This guy likes Star Wars, or this girl likes Star Wars. I can add my voice to that. Just simple representation. We just need to continue doing what we're doing and do more of it. And I think it's just going to grow from there.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love it. And your thoughts?
Yeah, let's go. I think there's a couple of layers to this I want to say. Like, first, for everyone overall in the community, I want to push everyone to question why they feel the way they feel about stuff. I want people to examine their internal biases, to examine the things that sort of push them to feel how they feel, hate the things they hate, like the things they like, because you can learn a lot about yourself, and you can also learn a lot about the media that you're consuming. And also for minorities, I think it's really important to do what I like to do, which is two watches, like where you watch from a critical standpoint, or your like knee-jerk emotional identity-based standpoint, and then you remove that suit and you watch it from a purely critical standpoint, like technical, objective type stuff, and then you get the medium between the two, or the mean. I'm not a math magician, okay? The mean or the medium, the average, whatever. And you look at what you have there, because I see a lot that we've gotten really used to in the current state of things, having our comfort views, right? Having things, once we're off from work, once we're done with the day, we want to watch things that make us feel better. And so when we go to our little happy place of like Star Wars, and suddenly we're having to deal with like Indigenous death and like heavier socio, like political type stuff, it takes the wind out of those sails, and it hits really different, and it can cause a bit of like surface, like light trauma damage. So I think it's just kind of like if we are like a minus 10 HP or something, but like you know, like it helps
I was thinking
to
emotional damage.
emotional
damage.
damage. No, like for sure. So like I think it's just really important to sort of like separate your identity from your watching, the things you consume from time to time, just so you can get a more robust view of things and you don't have this sort of like knee-jerk emotional reaction to things, which I've seen has happened a lot where people have kind of started like slating Jon Favreau as like a writer, and I'm like, like there's it's a little bit more nuanced than that, or people saying that all of a sudden Robert Rodriguez is a bad Lord Star Wars fan.
Yeah, why was people saying? I'm like, I didn't get that. Like, I like the series. I mean, it could have been extended some more, but I'm like,
I feel like the pacing of the writing, that was my issue. Like Jon Favreau as a writer is not bad. The fact that he had no one to bounce his ideas off other than, I think, the guy who's his assistant, that's the other guy who's credited as a writer. It's just the two of them. And it's like...
I swear, I almost want to wager there were 10 to 13 episodes planned. Yeah. And then pandemic happened, and they ended up having to saw a bunch of stuff down because there's a whole lot of answers. We never got a moment to deal with what happened in that cantina.
Nah,
right.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, they kind of got
it. My girl, I was like, holy crap.
Yeah.
I was like, I think Boba should have like a little bit more of a response here outside of like, well, that sucks.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
I guess I'm gonna get here though. Like out of respect or whatever.
At least pour something out for him. Something.
Right.
Like something.
I thought she was gonna have a bigger role in the series. I thought she would have survived the explosion. I wanted to see her again. I was kind of disappointed by that.
I need to see the OG script because I am willing to wager a good like $50 that there were supposed to be at least 10 episodes because there's a whole lot of stuff that didn't really get fleshed out to the like you see it's very top heavy. Like the first few episodes are slow and elaborate, and you get to just savor all the flavors of like the character development and all this sort of stuff, and then all of a sudden it's like bam bam, and then we're in a gunfight with Rancor.
Right.
Dude, I did not think we was gonna get a war this season. I'm like, oh no, it's gonna get extended or something like that. Like, damn, it's over.
I thought for sure that was gonna be season 2. I thought we were building up for like the syndicate is coming. I'm like, all right. Yeah. So now Boba has time. He has to gather his allies because it's about to go down. And then they were like, in the next episode, I'm like, right now then, okay.
All right.
In the next episode of Dragon Ball Z. No,
right.
Can you name for me any Pike?
Name any Pike?
Pike Tyson.
The dead
one? That one Pike they dealt with from Clone Wars. That guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
The one that arrested Ahsoka.
So I feel like they don't as villains they were underdeveloped, and I think to what you're saying, I'm sure that was not intentional. You know what I mean? I'm sure that was there was a lot more. There had to be a lot more planned, and we just didn't get to it. Also, real quick, shout out to Beings of the Galaxy podcast. I don't know if y'all listen to it. It is wonderful. It's a narrative podcast by Camilla, where it's telling the stories of just different people that you would normally see in the background of these Star Wars stories. Expertly written and voice cast. I mean, my voice may or may not be on an episode.
Oh, look at this guy. Okay.
but definitely check it out because Kimmel is an excellent writer, and I was happy to be a part of it. Okay. awesome conversation. I really appreciate you guys coming on and talking with us, and just hanging out, because this is what I love. Is once we get to the part where we're just speaking freely and chilling, it's just the best. I do want to see if you guys have any closing thoughts, or and once again, let us know where we can find you and anything that you guys want to plug. Um, yeah, so I will go to Zenobia first.
So any closing thoughts? I've said it once, I'll say it again. Ahsoka Tano is black coded. If you don't agree with me, that's a you problem. But where you can find me, I'm on TikTok at flannel, and I'm on Twitter at flannel1 because somebody stole that username and I can't have it. So check that out. Non-Star Wars things to plug. I said it in the beginning. I have a flash fiction piece in issue 3 of Chaotic Merge magazine. It's about lesbians, so check it out.
All right. Quick question for you.
Yes.
And I guess for everyone, but like I feel like Ahsoka, like especially young Ahsoka, super black coded. And I feel like she started to lose that later on.
Oh yeah. Her features definitely changed.
I made a video in I did a collab with Star Wars Facts Guy where I talked about the fact that in Rebels, her nose gets longer and straighter and her lips get thinner. Mm-hmm. She loses those facial features that make her look like a little black girl. And it's like, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that?
Oh, I saw it was interesting. Okay, so I'm not the only person noticed. Awesome. And can you for Hannah in the chat, also known as Discount Bo-Katan, where can she read that story again?
So chaoticmerge.com. The magazine issue 3 is free, the online version, so you can check it out. It's called Fixations. It should be on page 33. So yeah. All
right, perfect. And how about you, DePaul?
Closing thoughts. I don't have anything to plug besides the Conspiracy Cantina. Check us out on YouTube once we get back up and going again. But we have some episodes out there you can always watch. On TikTok, Jedi Master DePaul. And as the black coded character, I think who's black coded. I mean, it's kind of a given, but L3. Like when I first heard that voice, I was like, "Whose auntie is this?" Because
I've actually never thought about it, and it works. So
right? I was like, who is in that suit? And even her hips and everything, I'm like, oh yeah, she black. I don't care what anybody say. So
Freedom Fighter L3.
Right.
Awesome. And Onyx?
You guys can find my Star Wars content on Onyx Artist 32. That's what I'm on TikTok. Shameless plug is going to be to my webcomic and Comic Again, which is Zadora Chronicles. You can find us on inbeyond.com, and you can find us on Webtoons if you're looking to see what I'm writing. I just write it. I have an artist. His name is Scuba Steve. You can find him on TikTok too, and I'll tag him in some of the videos so you guys can follow him. Black coded character, I can't think of one right now. I mean, there's Piccolo, but I can't. The best dad, Green Dad, but I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head. You took Ahsoka from me, and that was pretty much where I was gonna go, because I'm like, she was definitely coded black, and they kind of changed that not so subtly as she became an adult. But what are you gonna do?
Okay. Well, she's back.
Technically,
She's back. Cosplay, true. You're right. You're right.
Honestly, if you look at all the Togrutas, they're kind of all black coded. So
them and Twi'leks, I felt like.
Yeah.
Twi'leks always gave me more of a Romani vibe.
Really?
but I do know that they did take some like Kenyan culture and pieces that they used for Sheely and for a lot of the stuff for the Decruda's homeworld. So yeah, it's definitely a thing for sure. Now, if you don't mind me asking though, Onyx Artist is writing the art that's implied in Onyx Artist.
So yes and no. Well, yeah, it's part of it because I also do photography. So I do the writing, but I also take pictures. So those are kind of the two things that I put as the artist. But the Onyx comes from just Pokemon. I really like that Pokemon. Like I liked Onyx, and when I was younger, I was like, "Oh, Onyx is black, and I'm black, and I'm going to use this as my name." And now, as an adult, I was like, I chose those words, so I'm just gonna stick by this. That's my man. I'm gonna stick beside him. So,
I mean, where do you think Darth Choco comes from? Similar story. I've been Darth Chocolate on everything for like 10 years, and then the name was taken on TikTok, so I went Darth Choco, and then that's when they got popular. So it is what it is. How about you, Nidra?
All right, hi. I'm Nidra. I'm an Ahsoka Tano cosplayer, a film school dropout, an iOS developer, and someone who thinks way too much about Star Wars. And my black coded character is my king, Black Chrysanthemum. Also, I don't know. What am I plugging? I had mentioned it briefly. Whenever that was, I have no concept of time anymore. Whenever I was on whatever podcast that was, but I recorded a Star Wars adjacent thing with a coworker of mine for our talent show, and I'm going to be posting bits of that soon. Yeah, I think that's supposed to be it. I'm going to be posting longer form content on my YouTube because the 60-second restriction for me on TikTok is just overwhelming because it's either 60 seconds or 3 minutes for me. There's no in between. And, and so I would rather just like go full throttle with a long form. I'm definitely doing a long form video on episode 3 of the Book of Boba Fett. But I definitely do want to go in depth about the overarching themes of aging and rejecting certain aspects of masculinity that the Book of Boba Fett has delved into. And so that's me. Follow me on TikTok, Nidra Loves Cosplay, if you want to hear the little 60-second bits. I'd say follow me on Twitter, but I really can't. I don't like seeing people on my timeline that I don't follow. I like controlling that, and I don't like being force-fed toxicity that I didn't sign up for. So, Nidra Loves Cosplay on TikTok is the best place, and Insta if you're into that sort of thing.
Awesome, perfect. Camilla in the chat says King Santi,
yep,
or
King
as
Santi for the win,
or as some people like to call him, Chewbacca.
Chewbacca.
Yeah, and just to close out, once again, thank you everyone for coming. For me, the thing I really want everyone to understand is that we're all here, all the people, like this is an all black panel, and it's still incredibly diverse. All of us have different interests, different entry points, different, and that's just how it goes. And I love getting to have these conversations. And if you are, these are the conversations we need to be having with each other. You know, if you see someone give their rankings of Star Wars movies, you shouldn't be looking to see if theirs is the same as yours. You should be hoping that it's different, and then engaging with that person and being like, wow, what did you see in this that I didn't? Those are interesting and fascinating conversations. The differences between people is what makes this stuff interesting, and that's how you get the depth. So if that's not how you feel, I would examine that and sit with those feelings and understand that a lot of us carry things with us that we don't want. Maybe we don't want to embrace or address ourselves. I have my own, internal biases against black people, and look at me, Like if I have them, I know everyone has them, and
Right.
those conversations are worth having with yourself and not getting defensive about it. We're all fans. We all love this stuff. Let us sit at the table. Stop eating that unseasoned chicken. That's
Ooh, stop being ashy.
And don't be ashy. All right, get them elbows.
Mhm.
All right, everyone. With that, I will go ahead and conclude. Once again, thank you, and may the